The way that we care, you'd swear that there's a universal law that says we must care. That when things happen, we care. And we don't realize that we actually suffer a lot because we care. I mean, if I asked you right now what your problem is, you'd find that there isn't a specific problem that you have. You are actually suffering because you care. You might find that you are healthy, you're not really in pain, you're not starving, but you care. And because of that, you're suffering. Maybe one of your relatives told you that you will never make it in life, you never amount to anything. Maybe they told you that you're crazy. Maybe they told you that you're a bad person. Maybe they called you a narcissist. Maybe they told you that they hate you. And you're suffering because of that. You care. If they wiped off your memories like completely and then asked you what your problem is afterwards, like, what do you have a problem, and what is your problem? You find that you don't really have a problem. The problem is that you have trained yourself to care, and this matrix is using that against you. You care. See, the people who suffer the most in this world are people who actually care. It's not the people who do not care, it's the people who actually care. But why do we care? You find that most of the things that we care about, most of the things that are causing us suffering, don't really matter. It doesn't matter what your relative said about you 5 years ago. But 5 years ago, it did matter because you made it matter. It didn't matter, but you made it matter. Since we were little kids, we have been trained to give a fuck. That's the problem. We've been getting trained to give a fuck. When you look at kids, you'd see that they don't really give a fuck. It's only after they've been trained to give a fuck that they actually start giving a fuck. Things can happen in front that the kid doesn't care. Be like, oh, you're saying we lost our house? Damn, where are we gonna sleep? And then 10 minutes later, that kid is playing with other kids. You might say, well, that's because that kid is not going to be the one who's going to have to find a new house. So they don't have to care. But still, if that kid was a bit older and their parents lost their house, they will care. It will be a big deal, but why? Is it because that's really a big deal? I mean, it is a big deal, but still, we have trained ourselves to care. That's the problem. We have trained ourselves to care. You know, the things that are making us suffer in this world are actually the things that we have trained ourselves to care about. You know, we care about validations. Like, you know, I care if I do not feel appreciated. If I'm not getting some validation, I care. Like, it's a big deal. I care if no one loves me, or I care if my parents don't love me. I care if my colleagues do not love me. But notice that if you didn't train yourself to care, you wouldn't care. Right? It's not like you care because you should. You care because you have trained yourself to care. So it actually got to a point where you actually care. The same way that if you are not in a relationship with a person, it doesn't really matter what they do. Right? It doesn't really matter what they do. But if you start training yourself to care, if you get into a relationship with a person and you start to care, you start to care, you start to care, you get to a point where everything that they do matters to you. Why were you talking to that guy? Who is that guy? You know? Why did he hold your hand like that? Now you care. Now you care. You have trained yourself to care. And because you have trained yourself to care, you suffer because of that. But what you must notice is that if you didn't train yourself to care, you wouldn't suffer. You see? So one of the questions that we need to ask ourselves as sentient beings is, why do we train ourselves to care? Why is it important that we care? Why is it important that we give a fuck? What if we just didn't give a fuck? Did the universe say that we must give a fuck? Why are we carrying the burden of existence on our shoulders? Are you here? What if you just observed the nonsense? The same way that like you would watch a movie, be like, it is what it is, man, it's nonsense, I don't like it, but it is what it is. Because we're not changing this world. We're not changing other people, you know. Each and every person needs to change themselves. You cannot expect other people to change you, and you cannot force other people to change, no matter how wrong they are. People are too selfish to change. That's what you must realize. People change when they suffer for not changing. Doesn't matter how wrong they are. You know, it's only when they're like, hey, damn, I'm suffering a lot in this situation, so I gotta change. They don't change because they're trying to be better. Like, yeah, I'm trying to be a better person, so I must change. You know, we really do live in a messed up world. So should we care? Should we give a fuck? Should we make ourselves suffer? What do we gain? Is there something that you actually gain by giving a fuck? Would you get rewarded by the universe? Be like, yeah, that, you know, Benedictine, you know, he really, really gave a fuck. So he deserves something because of that. Or you just suffer and not even be able to function because you give a fuck. Most of the things that you give a fuck about really do not matter. It's not like the world will stop if you stop giving a fuck. It's not like your life will stop if you stop giving a fuck. It's not like you'll lose something if you stop giving a fuck. The problem is that you have trained yourself to give a fuck, and you became addicted to giving a fuck, and now you're suffering because you give a fuck. We do live in a world of suffering, but what you must realize is that we suffer more for giving a fuck. Right? We really do live in a world of suffering. I don't know if there's anything that we can do about that other than not bringing more people here, since nobody is asking to be here. You know what I mean? It's not my responsibility as a conscious being to bring more people here. I can just simply say, well, I think this sucks, and chances are the people that I'll bring here are going to think that this sucks. But even if I brought people here who didn't really think that this sucks, it wouldn't mean that I made the right decision. It would mean that I've just gambled and won, that they actually appreciate being here, so I've won. But it was very possible that I could have brought someone here and they felt like they were in some kind of a prison, So really, should I give a damn when things don't really seem to be working out in the world? Should I give a damn if things don't seem to be happening my way? And I'm not really in control. I should just do what I can. Most of y'all have done enough to get the things that you want. You might think, hey, I've not done enough. Like, no, you have done enough, and you actually do deserve the things that you want because you're here. No one should make you feel like you don't deserve what you want, as if you're supposed to just suffer and not have anything that you want. No, you do deserve what you want. It's just that the world works the way that it works. So it's better to just do what you can and just watch the world be what it is without really giving a fuck, without being too attached to it, because you're gonna suffer a lot. You remember, we do live in a world that's upside down. We do live in a lush farm. The more we care, the more we suffer. And it seems to me that the more we care, the more bad things happen. So you don't only suffer because you care a lot, you also suffer because a lot of bad things will happen because you care a lot. You see? A lot of people who are suffering are people who actually care, bro. People who don't care, they're not really suffering. Things just happen and they just don't really care. Like people who lack emotional intelligence, people who act like robots, you find that they're not suffering that much because they just don't care. It is what it is. We live in a matrix. What can we do? You must just detach yourselves while trying to find a way out, trying to understand what this whole thing is. If there's something that you must care about, is understanding what the whole thing is, but not all these distractions that are making us suffer, that are making us fight, that are making us stress, that are making us produce a lot of negative energy. There's nothing to be won by caring. We've just been trained to care. We've just been trained to give a fuck. I know a lot of people who are suffering a lot just because they give a fuck. You talk to a person like, hey man, you're miserable right now. Yeah, I'm miserable because that happened. You're like, yeah, but what do you gain by giving a fuck? What do you gain by being angry? Because you kind of choosing to give a fuck, whether you realize it or not. Even though it comes natural to, it comes naturally to kind of give a fuck in some situations, you can decide to not give a fuck. You can decide that, you know what, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to torture myself because of things that I cannot control. I'm just going to focus on other things. Yes, I'm going to worry a little because, I've been programmed to worry, but I'm not going to drown in my own sorrows because of the things that be happening. I'm just going to watch and be like, it is what it is. I don't prefer that things happen the way that they're happening, but they are happening the way that they're happening. I do not have some superpowers. I can't reverse time. I can't control people's minds. Things just happen the way that they happen because, well, they happen the way that they happen. You find that people sometimes try to justify giving a fuck. I care because of this and that. Like, do you have to care? Or you've just trained yourself to care and now you are addicted to caring? And that is the problem. You are addicted to caring and you don't even realize that you're addicted to caring. The way that the matrix works is strange. I think the more you care, the more the matrix itself focuses on you and what is happening in your life, because it gains something from you caring. Because the whole matrix is about making you care. I want you to understand that. It's about your attention. You know, the same way that when they make movies, like, they want you to watch. They want you to care. I'm a big fan of Amy. I mean, I don't really like it the way that I used to like it. Like I don't like it the way that I used to like it. But I used to be a very big fan of the UFC. They try their best to make the best fights, and the fighters would have to make, the fight interesting. And sometimes they would pretend to hate each other so that people would pay attention. Because they want us to care. They want our energy. That's how the matrix works. It wants you to care. It wants your energy. It wants you to be invested. It wants you to be attached. The matrix doesn't want you to just chill and be indifferent. And the reason why is because it will be failing. Imagine if everyone didn't give a shit. Like, yeah, it's the matrix, man. What can I do? I'm just gonna do me. Whatever happens, happen. I don't want that. I think the people that are controlled by the matrix who run this world want that. They want you to care. That's why we're constantly being triggered. You go online, there's always, things that are going to trigger you. Because you're supposed to care. So you must train yourself to not care. You must train yourself to not focus on the feelings that you don't prefer. Like, you must pay attention to how you feel. That's really, really important, because sometimes we choose to focus on feelings that we don't even prefer. Something happens and you're angry. You don't want to be angry. It's not like you want to be angry, but you focus on being angry and you become more angry. And you continue to focus on being angry, become more angry, and then make mistakes. Because we make a lot of mistakes when we're angry. So you make mistakes, and what happens? You become more angry because you've made mistakes because you were angry. You must have a no energy giving policy now. But it would be like, I'm giving zero energy to this matrix. If it's negative energy, like if it's not the energy that I prefer giving to this matrix, I'm not gonna give it the kind of energy that I do not want to give it. Let's say something happens that reminds you of something that used to traumatize you when you were young, and you start to focus on what used to traumatize you, and you start to feel angry, and you focus on that more. Why do you think you really focus on what used to make you angry, and you get angry and you continue to focus on that? Why? Maybe there's a part of you that wants to feel angry. Because why? something that happened in your childhood, something happened that reminded you of something that happened in your childhood, and you remember it and you focus on it and you start to become angry or you start to feel sad. Why focus on that? It's not like you can't really control your mind. You can choose to not focus on um, what you are remembering that's like that traumatized you. You can say, no, I don't want to think about that. Let me do something else. Let me distract myself. And you'll notice that it will pass. Like the feeling that makes you want to think about what happened in the past that traumatized you will pass. Like that feeling will pass, and you try to think about what traumatized you in the past and not even feel interested anymore. Like you feel like you don't even want to think about it anymore. Like you just don't care anymore. So really, it's up to us. Like we do choose what to care about. Yes, sometimes it will take a lot of work to untrain our minds to care about some things. Like to untrain our minds from caring about some things. Like it's gonna take some time because we have been training our minds to care about some things. Your mind already knows what you focus on. It already knows, so it's just focus on these things that you focus. Like you've trained it to work that way. So it's gonna take time for you to unprogram your mind, like your subconscious mind. Actually, it already knows that when you maybe if you try to get a job and you don't get it, you tell yourself that, yeah, that's because I'm not good enough, that's because I'm black, that's because I'm short, that's because of my hair, that's because of my skin color, maybe maybe you're an albino, you're like, that's because of that. Maybe you have vitiligo, that's because of that. Just because of my voice. And you start to suffer. Like, yeah, they don't like people who speak the way that I speak. They don't. And then you start to feel angry. You do have a choice. You can just be like, it is what it is. I actually did what I was supposed to do. If the Matrix doesn't want to give me the job, it didn't want to give me the job. So fuck it. Why should I care? Why should I torture myself? I did what I was supposed to do. What you must focus on is doing what you should do to get what you want. You know what you want. Do what you must do to get what you want. What you know that you must do. That's it. Like, to get the kind of job that I want, I've got to apply. After applying, go. If they call me, go to an interview and do my thing. That's it. I've done what I was supposed to do. I shouldn't now blame myself, look down on myself and all that. Like, it is what it is, man. I didn't even ask to be part of this thing. In fact, the only reason why I would want what I want at all is because I'm here. That's another thing that you must realize. It's not like you want the things that you want because you really want these things. You are here. You've been programmed to want these things. And to not suffer more, sometimes you do need these things that you think you want, but that you only want because you're here. We do live in a world that is upside down, man, that wants our energy. I don't know how we got here. I don't think it's a good thing that we found ourselves. It is a realm that wants our energy, where every conscious being is suffering, where every conscious being is running away from something. Every animal has a natural predator. So it has to protect itself. Like, what kind of game is this? It's a very sick game. It's not the kind of game that we can justify, right? But we here. We're here. Like it or not, we are actually here. What we must care about is freeing ourselves. Like, it makes sense to care about freeing yourself. you know, realizing that, yeah, you are in a realm that it doesn't make a lot of sense to you, and trying to figure out how to set yourself free, rather than caring about small things, because in the end there is nothing to gain. You know, even about the bad things that are happening in the world, like sometimes we care about things that we cannot change. It gets to a point where we're just addicted to caring. It gets to a point where we get something out of caring. Have you realized that? Like, you actually get something out of caring. Like, you've programmed yourself to get maybe some validation. Like, hey, I've discovered that there is something bad that is happening in Iraq. Look at what's happening. Yeah. You see how evil the world is? Yeah, I see how evil the world is. And, you know, you kind of like getting something. Because we can't change. We can't change this place. As long as you realize that it's a hell room, that's good. You don't have to be focusing on the negative things that are happening. You already know it's a hell room. Those who need to focus on the negative things that are happening are the people who don't realize that we're in a hell realm. Those are the people who need to focus on the negative things that are happening so that they'll realize that we're in a hell realm. You've already realized the truth. So there's no reason for you to see more fucked up things, because you have already realized the truth. In fact, it will be better for you to focus on coping now, because you still need energy to figure out how to free yourself. You know, you still need energy. It's not like you can just be free. It still takes a lot of work. As you can see that a lot of truth have been hidden from us. Like, the truth that actually matters has been hidden from us. We've been given truth that doesn't really matter. And looking at the level that this world is operating on, like especially the technological level that this world is operating on, you can see that there have to be some people who know some things that we don't know, that they are not telling us, and that they are not willing to tell us. And even if they tell us some things, they'll be telling us these things because maybe they have to, you know. Maybe they'll tell us these things because they have to. Like, if they wanted to work with aliens, and they wanted these aliens to also influence the world directly, they'll need to have to tell us that aliens exist. They'll need to tell us, because they want these aliens to influence us directly. So they only tell us what we need to know. Not necessarily like what we need to know, but what they want us to know so that they can control us. So they don't tell us things just because they're like, hey, people of Earth deserve to know. Let's tell them the truth. No. They tell us what they tell us because they know that after we know what they have told us, they'll be able to control us the way that they want to control us. That's how it works. So it's better that you seek for truth yourself, not relying on what other people are saying. I mean, unless you trust them enough, but it's much better to just seek for truth yourself. So you need a lot of energy. So all the energy that you're spending giving a fuck, if you use that energy trying to figure out what really makes sense, you will figure out what really makes sense. Now, I'm not saying you mustn't try to have fun. You mustn't try to do things that humans, find pleasure in doing. I'm saying you must just stop giving a fuck. If things don't go your way, stop giving a fuck. If things go your way, you're not gonna really waste a lot of energy. You just have fun, enjoy yourself, and the more you enjoy yourself, the stronger you feel, which is a good thing because you're not really losing energy. But if you don't find yourself enjoying yourself, then stop giving your energy, because you become weaker when you give your energy to things that are making you suffer. It gets to a point where you are so damn addicted to giving your energy to things that are making you suffer. You are too aware now, right? You are so damn conscious that you don't need to care to understand what is going on, right? You don't need to care to understand what's going on. Your eyes are open. You will be able to see more than what a lot of people can see, even if you don't care. That's the thing. You don't need to care to actually see what is going on. So there's nothing that you benefit out of caring, and there's a lot that you lose because you care. Try to think about all the problems that you have. Try to think about all the problems that you have. You'd realize that most of these problems that you have are caused by the fact that you care. If you didn't care, maybe you think you don't have any problem. No, except being in a world that you don't understand. But other than that, you'd realize that you don't have any problem. Even the things that humans have decided that we should care about. Like, if you don't care about these things, like, you're a bad person. If really you don't want to give your energy to this matrix, you shouldn't care about these things. You should do what a decent human will do in situations that require you to care. I mean, according to like society, but you shouldn't. Don't be wasting your energy on things that the matrix is using to keep you distracted. Now, the matrix is so damn advanced that it can monitor each and every conscious being that is in it. It knows your problems. It knows what you care about. It knows what you call problems. Let me put it that way. It's not like it knows what you consider to be problems. It knows how you feel about yourself. It knows how to trigger you. Like, if it wants energy from you, it knows exactly how to trigger you. So you must understand that you're in some kind of a mind game, and reality itself is a mind game, because you found yourself in a world that you don't understand, that you don't know how it really works. So it's up to you to figure out how it works. So to truly free yourself, you're going to use your mind, because it's a mind game. Not allow the matrix to play you. The matrix will always try to play you, but don't allow it to. And you'd realize that you didn't need to give a damn at all. You'd realize that it has always been a choice to give a damn. Like, it's something that you chose to do. It's not like you naturally give a damn. Maybe you didn't really choose to give a damn, but you were trained to give a damn, but it was still a choice. We need to focus more on setting ourselves free. Since we have realized that we are in a hell room, we are in a really messed up reality. So the main focus should be setting ourselves free. The main focus shouldn't be us, giving a damn, worrying, being addicted to this, complaining about things that are the matrix have created to distract us. No, that doesn't help. Thank you all, guys.